Congressman, thanks for joining us today. I want to talk first about Social Security. Last week, the government made it official. There's going to be no increase in the cost of living for Social Security recipients next year. And, you know, the figure, as well as you know, that it was based a lot on transportation costs. Seniors don't rely as heavily on transportation as do others. The medical costs didn't figure in as much, and that's a big part of what they spend money on. That did increase. What can be done?
Well, I think you hit it on the head to make the point there that transportation is used less by the elderly and medicine is used more. And I think that that should be taken into consideration, and maybe this should be reviewed again to some point. The cost of living should be accurate for the group that it engages, and a senior is in a different environment than the rest of the society when it comes to the cost of living increases and the services that they use.
Yeah, the cost of living, the CPI, actually is a different figure than the government's own figure on elderly inflation. There is such a thing. The government has it, and it shows that for most seniors, spending or costs increased about 2% in the past year. So can we ask you to really seriously consider this in Congress, maybe doing a different set of figures when you're figuring the COLA adjustments?
Well, I think that we should, and certainly we're going to hear from a lot of seniors on this issue, and I hope that we do proceed with doing it and doing it more accurately to fit the constituents that we're talking about.
The second part of this, because of odd bookkeeping, for about 30% of seniors, Medicare could go up, the premium for Part B, some 52% in 2016, kind of tied to this same thing. Can we, again, look at this? And there's got to be a really fast fix on this before the end of the year if it doesn't affect 30% of seniors.
Well, I would agree, and I hope that, we've got to look at things realistically and what the real costs are for our seniors that have been paying into Social Security for a long time. My parents are in it, and I hope to be in it someday myself. And so I hope that we do things accurately and don't leave people more desperate than they should be, depending upon what the promises that have been made.
Do you think we can get a measure to the floor and actually do this, do the Medicare fix part of this by 2016?
I would hope so. It's always difficult to say because you know how Congress is and how it works between Congress and the White House. It's sometimes difficult to get things done. That I hope that we do drive this forward. This is an important issue for so many Americans that we need to address it and need to address it fully. And I appreciate you taking it on.
Yeah, people in the tri-state are asking you to try to get this done. On another issue, the House speakership, Paul Ryan today said, yeah, okay, I'll take the job, but with some conditions. And some may seem kind of reasonable. I want to spend more time with my family. But one is really drawing a little bit of criticism, even from Republicans. House rule changes on the motion to vacate the chair that would allow him to be ousted more easily. He said, I want that to go away. Is that realistic? What do you see happening here?
Well, a couple of things. The only thing that he requested personally is to say that, look, I'm going to spend time with my family, and I certainly don't fault him for that. As he said, his family is his oxygen, and I would equate with that too and agree with him. As far as the motion to vacate, there was some clarity put to that today, where he said, I just don't think one person should be able to do this, or 30 people being able to do this, that it should be where there's a majority, at least a majority of the majority body that can drive this process. And he's all for us conferencing on that and coming up with a plan that works. Certainly there is going to always be an option to vacate the seat and have that power, but for one person to be able to do it or 30 people to be able to do it and leave us dormant is really the point that I think he was trying to make, and he gave some clarity to that in conversation today.
You think he'll be the next speaker?
If he isn't, I don't know who is going to be, because it's hard to get this many people together, obviously, and I think he has been approached. And the other things that he set forward were not really, some people called them demands. They weren't really demands. These were things that he thought should be in place for whoever the speaker is. And I give him credit for thinking outside the box on that, things that we have to do to make changes so it's more comfortable to be speaker and that we involve more of the conference in our day-to-day decision-making process. And those are the types of things that he was talking about.
Do you support a clean vote on raising the debt limit on November 3rd, or do you think it should be tied to some spending cuts and other concessions?
I think it should be tied to something else. You know, obviously the debt is concerned not only for this generation, but especially for the next generation, and we need to make some progress on reducing our deficit spending and trying to get to a balanced budget. And I've been in favor of that since I ran for office and since I've been here. So I would always like to tie it to something that's going to be advantageous to the next generation and to how we function as a government.
The House Benghazi Committee, it's been accused of being political. Your thoughts on that? More important, what do you see happening tomorrow when Hillary Clinton testifies? What do you expect to really find out that we haven't already heard about from her emails?
Well, obviously I don't sit on that committee, but I think Trey Gowdy has done a fantastic job of keeping this very fair and very bipartisan, and it is about trying to find out what led to the death of 4 Americans and how we responded afterwards and what we did beforehand. And I hope that that's the progress we continue to see, is really getting to these mistakes made, how do we correct those, and were we doing things properly at the time?
I know you're out of time. Quickly, is there anything you would like to say to your constituents?
No, I just want to say that I'm honored to serve the 2nd District of Ohio. I think we have one of the greatest areas in the country. We have an area of the country where we have people that want to work and want to see America thrive and consider its future. So I'm honored to represent this area.
All right, I know you have some votes to get to. Thank you for joining us this afternoon.
You bet. Thank you.